show you how to customize some planner dividers from my shop called All About the House on Etsy. So these dividers are sized at 5.5 by 8.5 inch, so they're half US or letter size paper. You can print them onto letter size or A4 size paper and then just print them out and cut them out. So the great thing about them being a Photoshop template is that you can add whatever patterns and colors and design elements. You can add your own pictures, you can make a collage, you can do anything that you want to customize them and make them your own. So what I've done is I've brought in a digital paper. So this one is from my other Etsy shop called Paper Cravings. So just bring your digital paper into Photoshop and then it'll bring it in like this. Just drag it, left click and drag it above the tab that you want to apply that pattern to. Right click and choose Create Clipping Mask. You can then come and change the text of the tab. So if you click on the type tool and then click where it says tab 5, I've got them labeled with two options. So you can have a white tab to type text, or you could print these out and handwrite your titles on the tab if you prefer. You can just press Ctrl A and then type whatever label that you want. So if you wanted to use this one for lists, you can type that. I've got it set to Century Gothic for the font, but you can pick any font style that you want. You can download lots of free fonts, both personal use and commercial use, from places like DaFont, FontZone and Font Squirrel. And if you do a Google search for free commercial use fonts or free font download, it'll come up with a list of heaps more places where you can download fonts from. I recommend choosing something that's simple and easy to read, and make sure that the text is large enough to be able to see what's actually on there when printed. So you might want to use some abbreviations. So instead of, if you were using these in a dated planner or a monthly planner, instead of typing out January or September, which can be long names, maybe just shorten it to Jan or SEP, SEP. You can change the font size by pressing Ctrl A, and then you can change it up the top here. So if I wanted to make it bigger, or if I wanted to make it smaller, you can type multiple lines of text, but remember that these are half a US or letter size piece of paper, so just keep that in mind, not to make your font too small or you might have trouble reading it. Remember that you can make lots of different tabs and you can layer them, so you could have this tab 5 in blue and then you could have another one in pink, and then you can use that as well to find what you're looking for. So different colors, different patterns, a different font type or different font colors, etc. So there's 6 different tabs that you can use. You can print it out as many times as you want, as many times as you need, for all of your notebooks, all of your planners, however you want to organize. So I've got this one set up on tab 5. So you just simply drag your pattern onto the tab that you want it to apply to, and then you'll need to come up to the top here where I've got tab 5. So if I wanted a white writing space, I've got this layer turned on. If I didn't want that anymore, I can just press the eye icon to hide that layer, and now I've got my text appearing above my pattern. If I want to turn off the black text and have white text, so if I wanted a colored background or a black tab color, etc., I would use white text. And if you wanted black text or any other color, I could make this blue if I wanted to. If you click on your text, press Ctrl A, click on the eyedropper tool, and then click on that color layer, and then you can change your font color so it matches. If you don't want to see this little bit of a dot, which is the pattern peeking through, or you don't want a white tab, simply hide that layer, then create a new layer. Come over to the shape tool where it's got this rectangle tool, and then you want to, above your tab layer, scroll down and just drag it. Whoops, I dragged the text layer then. Drag your layer above the tab that you want to customize, and then go right click, create clipping mask. So now I've got a tab that is a solid color. If you don't want it to cut in the pattern like it is right now, just press the arrow up key, or you can reposition it using the move tool, so by pressing Ctrl T and then left clicking and dragging until you're happy with the placement of it, and then press enter to apply the change. So if I come back up here and turn on my white text layer, I can now see that I've got it in blue. If you wanted to use a different color, you can double left click on that rectangle that you created, and in the color picker menu you'll be able to pick a different color. So if you wanted your tabs to be in blue and your dividers in blue and then your tabs in purple, or vice versa, or if you're using a set color scheme, you might have one divider that's black polka dots with a pink tab, you might have another one that is purple polka dots with a black tab, etc. It's totally up to you what color combinations you want to use. So if you want one design on all of the dividers, I've got that already set up for you in a layer here, so you can turn off these other layers and it will create just all of one design, and you can turn on the tab layers to change different colors. So if you double left click and then pick a different color, you'll be able to pick what tab color that you want. And if you turn all of them on, you'll be able to see all the different tabs. Again, you can choose if you want a white text area, so a white background for your text for all of them, or if you want colored backgrounds. Totally up to you how you want to customize them. So if I wanted this to just be a solid color, I can just create a new layer, change the color. Let's say I wanted it to be purple. I'm just going to press Control and the minus sign on my keyboard to zoom out. Come over to the rectangle tool, left click and drag until you've got the color covering the entire page, and then right click, create clipping mask. The advantages of doing it that way instead of double left clicking and changing the color is that you can stack multiple color layers one on top of each other, and then you can just turn the click the eye icon to turn the layers off and on if you wanted to compare lots of different colors. So if I did it again, for example, with a teal color, right click, create clipping mask. So if I decided, you know what, I want teal, actually I want this purpley color, you can just quickly turn the layers off and on to compare which colors you like best if you're tossing it up between a few different designs. So I showed you earlier on how I used a small polka dots pattern. I'm just going to turn off this layer here, and I'm going to turn off these other tabs. So I've just got tab 4 showing. So I showed you how to use a digital paper to add a design element to the tab. Another thing that you can use is a pattern overlay. So I've got a few of these available in my shop called Paper Cravings on Etsy. I'll include a link below this video. You'll be able to download them, and then just bring them into Photoshop and choose your own color. So the difference between a digital paper and an overlay is if you double left click and open up the file, you'll see that these areas here are transparent. So you can pick any color that you want. They're not a solid color. So I could make these red hearts, pink, purple, blue, green, whatever color that you want. You can make as many different color patterns as you like. You can also do the reverse, and using clipping masks like we did here, you can then make your patterns in red and your background in white if you want. So basically it's like a digital paper, but you can choose whatever colors that you want, so it allows more design flexibility, and you can create exactly what you want with overlays. So that is why I recommend using them over digital paper. Digital papers come in set colors, and if you don't like the color scheme that the designer has chosen, or if you like a pattern but it's from a shop where you haven't previously purchased from and they don't use the same colors as another shop, then all of your patterns won't be all the same shade of pink. It might be a bit inconsistent if you're going to be creating these to sell, for example, because commercial use is allowed for this template. So you can create dividers and sell them in printable or printed format, totally up to you. You just can't sell this Photoshop template that I'm showing you how to customize. You can sell the final product that you create in JPEG or PDF in compressed file format. So just don't sell the original template file, otherwise you can create dividers which you can sell for commercial use for profit if you want, or you can just use it for personal use. It's up to you. So this is a digital paper, so the color's already chosen. You can't choose what color you want for the background. That color is set and you can't change the color. You also can't change the size, so with these overlays from my shop, you'll get the original Photoshop file where you can crop it, for example, to be a US letter size paper, or you can shrink the pattern if you want a smaller print, etc. So if you just left click and drag to bring into Photoshop, and then just press enter when it finishes loading, then you just right click, choose create clipping mask, and you just made a divider. So you could print it out exactly like that if you wanted to, if you liked how that looked, or you can press Ctrl T and you can hold down Shift, left click and drag out in the corners if you decide that you want your polka dots to be bigger, and then press enter. If you're not happy with the placement of the dots, so it's my pet hate when you've got a little bit of the dot showing on this side but then more of it on the other side, that really annoys me. So to align it properly, come up here to this square with the dash border. Off the edge of your canvas you want to left click and drag, so you've got this dash border appearing on all sides. Click on the move tool, align to the center, and then align it to the middle. And then that will make sure that you've got an even amount of dots on all sides, or you can simply just use the arrow keys on your keyboard until you're happy with the placement of the dots. Again, you can increase or decrease the size of the pattern until you're happy with how it looks. So that's using a digital paper. Let's say you wanted to use a pattern overlay. So just like you did with the digital paper, you're just going to left click on the overlay where you've got it saved on your computer and drag and drop it into Photoshop and then press enter. So now I've got a hearts pattern, but you'll notice that the hearts are in white and the background is in the same tab color that we've already got. So we want to choose a different color. You may not want grey, you may, it's ink friendly, but you may want a nice bright color. So just right click and choose create clipping mask, and then you can create a new layer and add your color. So go over to the shape tool, right click, select rectangle if you haven't already got that selected, and then you can pick whatever color that you want. So let's say I wanted some red hearts. Just left click and drag to create your color. Bring it down behind your overlay, so left click and drag it behind this overlay layer, and now we've got some red hearts. If you decided that you didn't want the hearts to be facing this way, because remember when you print it out you'll actually be looking at it from this way, not landscape, so you'll be looking at it portrait. So if you press Ctrl T on your keyboard you can rotate the pattern. So I just did -90, so now my hearts are vertical and they're correctly aligned, so if I'm looking at it this way they're actually upright. You can leave them on an angle if you want, so if you press Ctrl T and say you choose -45, you could do some hearts on an angle, or you could do +45 if you want them going the other way. And now you'll notice that there's these gaps here which look a bit odd. So if you press Ctrl T, you can hold down Shift, left click and drag it out so that your design now fills the entire divider, and then press enter, and then just remember to realign it again if you're not happy with the amount of hearts that are showing on each end or whatever pattern that you're using. You can get pattern overlays in all different types of patterns. I also have an e-course called How to Make Patterns in Photoshop and Monetize Your Designs, where I teach you how to make these patterns if you want to make your own. So the advantages of that are, if for example these hearts look quite large for this small size, so if I wanted to make them smaller, you'll have the tools to know how to make your own patterns. So you can make any size, any type of pattern, any type of repeating pattern like this that you want to use. You could do one with hearts, you could do a large heart and then a smaller heart. I'll also show you how to make patterns such as stripes and chevrons, etc. I do have a chevron pattern, so I'll show you how that one looks. If I left click and drag it in and press enter, and then I can just hide that layer. So again, if you want to compare, if you're not sure if you want to use hearts or chevrons, you can just click these layers to turn it off and on and compare different design styles, different colors until you're happy with how it looks. So again, we can rotate our chevron by pressing Ctrl T and then changing the angle. You can enlarge or increase the pattern as well. If we want to change the color, just create a new layer, come over to the rectangle tool, and let's say I wanted some pink chevrons. left click and drag will now create some pink chevrons. If you wanted to add elements on top of your divider, so if you wanted to add a photo, just navigate to where you've got it saved on your computer, left click and drag and drop it into Photoshop like we did to bring in our overlays and our digital papers. It's the same process. If you wanted to, you could add a label on the divider as well. So to make it a bit easier to see what we're doing, we can go image rotation 90 degrees. And it will rotate it so that our tab is now upright. So this is what we will see when we're printed. So you can do this from the beginning when you're using the file if you want, if you find it easier to use. So we can create a new layer, come over to the shape tool. I might want a, what looks good with pink? Navy blue always looks good with pink. And I can left click and drag to create a label. And then I could add another rectangle layer. So if I press Ctrl J, come back over to this shape tool, I now don't want to fill, but I do want to stroke, and I'm going to make it white. And this here is the thickness of the border, so the stroke is the border around the shape. You can increase this if you want to make it fatter, and this here as well. If you want a solid border versus a dashed or a dotted border, it's up to you how you want it to look. I'm just going to leave it at solid. So you can have the border around it like that, or if you press Ctrl T, hold down Shift left click and drag inwards, you can have a white inner border. I'm just going to expand this out a bit because it was a rectangle. So now to quickly align it, one of the great things about Photoshop is that it's got an align tool, which is my favorite function in Photoshop. If you click on your border layer, press Control and then click on this frame that we've just added, come over to this square with the dashed border, left click and drag so you've got this dashed line appearing on the left and the right. That's really important. Don't worry about these top and bottom lines. It doesn't matter how fat you make your rectangle. You just need to make sure you've got these borders, these dashed lines appearing on the borders of your page. Come back up to the Move tool and press this button to align it to the center of the page. So if you were using a full sheet divider, you would do that. If you're using it for this half size one, you want to left click and drag so it's covering the edge of your design and then center it. If you want to make sure that this inner border is centered on your background frame label, just press this button here and then the center align. So now I've got the same amount of space between this edge as I do on this one, and same with the top and the bottom. So if I wanted to make it totally even, I would need to press choose that inner border, press Ctrl T and then bring it out a little bit more if you wanted the exact same border on all sides. So at the moment it's the same length, the top and the bottom, and then the left and the right were slightly more. So you can play around with that until you're happy with how it looks. You can then add text on top of your frame. So if I create a new layer, come over to the Type tool and let's change it to white. So the color code for white is 255 for each of the RGB codes or 6Fs, and then select OK. And then you can left click and add whatever text that you want. So if you were using this to organize your recipes, press Ctrl A and you can increase the size of the font. You might want to do multiple lines of text, so if I make it font size 30 and I might do my name, which is Rachel, so I could do Rachel's recipes, and then you can click on the Move tool and move it to wherever you want on the frame, or again use that square with the dash border, left click and drag until you've got it hitting the edge of your design, and press this button here to align it to the middle. If you want to align to the center of your frame, just click on your text layer and click on your frame layer and then press this button here and it will move it to the middle. So now you'll have the same amount of space between the top of the highest letter and the edge here and the bottom of the lowest letter and the edge here. So now it's aligned into the center. You can change the font style to any that you want. I have become a bit of a font addict, to say the least, over the past couple of years. So I've got heaps of fonts on here that I've downloaded. I think I've only ever paid for a font once. All of these are free fonts that you can download. If you want to change the amount of spacing between your multiple lines of text, just click on the characters menu. If you're not seeing that in your version of Photoshop, just click window character and make sure that's turned on, and it will bring up this menu here. So the amount of spacing between the text is this function here. So if I wanted a bigger space, I could make it really big, so I could make it 60, or I could drop it back to about, let's go 45. Not too much, let's go 40. It's not looking too bad. 35 is probably optimal. If you want all your text to be uppercase, just click this button here and it will make it all uppercase. Just keep in mind you might have to realign, so at the moment that's closer to this border than this text is. So you'll just need to click on your text layer, click on your frame layer, remember to align it to the middle and then to the center. You can make your text italics if you want. You can change the font size as well, and I don't use any of these functions here. You can also change your font color. You want it to be like a red color. This is the amount of spacing between your letters, so if you wanted them to be wider or more of a space in between each of them, just make this a bigger number. I don't change that, I just leave it at 0. And you can also change italics, bold, etc. as well from this menu as you can from down the bottom. So I always use bold because then it's easier to see when you print your design. So when you're happy with how it looks, you can then save it as a JPEG or a PDF. So if you go File, Save As, and then you can pick if you want it as a JPEG or a PDF ready for printing. You might want to do a test print first. So for example, if I did a test print to check if this frame was as large as I wanted it to be, or if I wanted bigger text or smaller text, or if the text size that I've chosen for my tabs isn't big enough, then I can do a test print and see. I recommend doing a test print in black and white first before using color ink, because this is quite a bit of color ink. So when you print it, make sure you're happy with the design first. I recommend printing dividers onto cardstock. I'll include a link below this video where I recommend you can get cardstock from, but places like Amazon, Staples, Office Max, Office Depot, any of those sort of office supply stores, or if you do a Google search, you'll be able to purchase cardstock. I use, I think it's 80 or 110. I think 80 is normal copy paper and 110 is like a thin cardstock, which is what I use for my tabs. You can always print them on normal paper. The color may look a bit saturated though on the paper, so that's why I recommend cardstock. You can then laminate your dividers for extra durability, or you could print your dividers onto full sheet label paper. I recommend glossy, will really make the colors pop, and then just don't peel off the sticky backing, and you'll have it's probably a little thinner than cardstock, but it's thicker than paper, and then you can laminate it as well for extra durability. So it's really up to you how you want to print them. So I hope you found this video tutorial helpful, and if you have any questions, just let me know. You can reach me at allaboutthehouseetsy@gmail.com, and I'll include a link below this video to all of the resources that I've mentioned as well.